research in his thought, I think we need to look at him from a bigger perspective, the holistic approach. We don't look at him from themes or topics in his work. We try to understand the whole framework of Abdulhamid Abu Sulaiman so that we can appreciate and understand how he analyzed the issues of Islamic thought and civilization, brothers and sisters. It's very important because my topic here is talking about renewal or reform or transformation of education system from the Quranic worldview, we call it civilizational Quranic worldview, to ulum al-habara. I put there to sciences of istikhlaf, ulum al-istikhlaf. But Abdulhamid Abu Sulaiman, in his book Azmat al-Aql al-Muslim, in chapter 4, he talks about the need for new ulum of civilization, ulum al-habara. Islamic civilizational sciences. And I think in this he was influenced by the ideas of Ibn Khaldun before and also his understanding of the problem of the Ummah. So to understand and articulate the ideas and the approach of Abdulhamid Abu Sulaiman, we need to understand the structure of his thought. Number one, if you want to understand Abdulhamid Abu Sulaiman's thought, you need to understand his ideas in the book of Islamic crisis in the Muslim mind, Azmat al-Aql al-Muslim. In that book, Professor Abdulhamid Abu Sulaiman tried to analyze the problem of the Ummah, and he found that some of the symptoms, madahir, of the problem of the Ummah are the rift between the hukam and the fuqaha, al-infisam. And this is a big problem in the development of Islamic civilization and history. When that problem happened, and later on, as a cancer spreading in the body of the ummah, body means in the mind, in aql, in suluk, in behavior, and then in culture, and then becomes a big issue, he later on resulted into an intellectual crisis, a crisis of the mind. What is crisis of the Muslim mind? It is a crisis that the Muslim mind is enabled now to understand the phenomena of decline from a bigger perspective. As Malik bin Nabi said, from a civilizational perspective. So, the book of Azmat al-Aql al-Muslim speaks about the situation between the political and the ilm and the fuqaha, then resulted into the issue of fikr. We are unable to produce and invent new ideas to address the issues happening, resulted in ghalqu bab al-ijtihad, close the gate of ijtihad, means the intellectual dynamism is diminishing, and we start actually ijtirar, we start revolving around the same things, but the dynamics of civilization move forward. So what happened is that we have an issue of intellectual dynamism. That's why later on we will find Abdulhamid Abu Sulaiman speaks about al-asala al-mu'asira, original or contemporary originality. This contemporary originality is one big concept in his thought. And in fact, you cannot understand and link up the whole thought if you don't understand what is asala mu'asira or contemporary originality, because contemporary originality happened, or why he is introducing that one, because we got this intellectual problem. That the mind is enabled now to think comprehensively, is enabled to think within the maqasidic bigger picture. And then we become more moving towards dealing with the partial issues. So the bigger picture is gone. Like what's happening today exactly in the Ummah. when we are dealing with social issues, economic issues, cultural issues, and the economic issues, into finance, into takaful, but the bigger picture is not there. So this is the Azmat al-Aqd al-Muslim, and this is briefly his analysis, and his suggestion is Islamiyat al-Ma'rifah. Islamization of knowledge is the way forward for this. And when you talk about Islamization of knowledge, it's very important to understand that it is about Islahu Manahij al-Fikr, means reviving and reforming the ways of thinking. And to reform this, you need a new epistemology. And this is what we call the integrated epistemology of Islam and Islamic knowledge. So, Islamization of knowledge will deal with the issue of Islah al-Fikr, and then the issue of methodology of thinking, and later on Taha Jabir al-Alwani deepened this idea of Islah al-Fikr, or Islah Manahij al-Fikr, when he introduced the idea of al-Jam'u bayn al-Qira'atayn, the two readings, the reading of the book of Wahy and the book of the universe, as a new epistemology to face the Western epistemology. So, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman in the Azmat al-Aqd al-Muslim helped us to look deeply into the situation, resulting into this intellectual problem, and this intellectual problem to be resolved, we need to go to what we call al-asala al-mu'asira, means rebuild the Muslim mind to be able to do ijtihad again, to do ijtihad. Now, this is a part of Abu Sulaiman talking about Islamization of knowledge, about Islah al-Fikr, about al-Manhajiyya, about the need for the bigger picture and the maqasid al-Sharia. In his book, Azmat al-Iradati wal-Wijdan, when he speaks about the crisis of the psychology, the emotionality, the wijdan, and the will of the ummah to move, we talk a lot. We have a lot of books, a lot of theories, a lot of things, but move. You cannot move without the human. And we cannot move the human without restructuring the human himself. So to him, al-wijdan al-irada become very important. Because you get someone who is very knowledgeable, he memorizes everything, but he cannot do ijtihad to solve any issue. He doesn't have the courage to think critically. He doesn't have the courage to come up with new ideas. Afraid, that's why you find always Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, he's a master of inquisitive thinking, asking questions, critical thinking. That's why even when he was here in UIA, he institutionalized the teaching of creative thinking and problem solving and critical thinking. So when we come to al-irada and al-wijdan, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman speak about this issue of personality. The mind done. The mind is Islamization, reform of thought, manahij al-ma'rifah, al-manhajiyya. This one, we are talking about the human, the emotionality, the psychology, the irada, the will. That's why Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, towards the end, the latest stage of his thought, he was talking about at-tarbiyya al-walidiyya, parenting, usra, family. Because there, where you build the new will for civilizational change. There, where you build the people, the human. So, from Azmat al-Aqd al-Muslim to Azmat al-Irada al-Wijdan, we are talking about a framework which is combining the intellectual and then the emotional, the psychological, and the personality. Now, in all these things or framework, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman raised few important questions which all of us need to address, especially the postgraduate student, if you want to do master or PhD in doing this. Because based on this, we cannot do the reform or the intellectual reform without having the capabilities and abilities to use the transdisciplinary approach, the multidisciplinary approach, the interdisciplinary approach. So we are going nowhere with our own disciplines, because the idea of Islamization of knowledge and its applications necessitate building the minds who can use Wahy in dealing with knowledge. And in Islam, we have the unity of knowledge, as Al-Faruqi says. So you need your researchers, scholars, or the people who are the experts of Islamization to be able to think in this format of interdisciplinary. So that's why you find Abdulhamid Abu Sulaiman within this framework. Later on, he talked about the ulum al-hadara, the Islamic sciences of civilization. And to means we are projecting, or based on this framework, we need to build the new ulum. And that's the next stage of Islamization. I agree with my professor, Anis Ahmad, that he called this stage of what we were doing is decolonization of the Western knowledge. That's correct. So what is the next stage? Until we reach the stage where we have these capabilities of asala mu'asira. Because asala mu'asira means the ijtihad is already groomed in you, in me, in this. In all of us. We got already those abilities because our educational system is qualifying us to do this based on the Islamic norms. Prof. Walid, I know you are looking at me. Another 3 minutes, inshallah. I always like to maintain time. So, in this, Abu Sulaiman raised these questions, and I think some applications of his ideas and thoughts, you can find them in his book of international relations. You can find them in his book on economics. You can find them in his book in some of his articles when he raised some issues of Darbul Mar'a, beating women in Islam, or Al-Murtad in Islam, or when you look at those things, you see the bigger picture, the thinker, how he thinks. And that's what I'm looking for. Because going down to the partial things, losing the bigger, that's the crisis of the Muslim Ummah. Whether we are thinking in the abstract, or we are thinking down there, no linking, one jalan. Cannot reverse, cannot atas, cannot bawa, cannot nothing. So we got a problem here. So brothers and sisters, so here, in the applications, you will see how he is trying to apply this model. Now, in this model, I want to add two other things that can help you understand the bigger picture. Maqasid al-Sharia in Abdulhamid thought is very crucial. I was very glad yesterday I went to the Sri Pacific to meet Prof. Dr. Hisham and the team, and I found our brother Barzanji, or our brother wrote many books in Islamic thought. One book in Arabic, the title of the book is Maqasid al-Sharia al-Islamiyya fi Fikr Abdulhamid Abu Sulaiman. I was very happy because Sheikh Abdulhamid is not an usul al-fiqh scholar. He's not an Islamic studies scholar. But this person talking about Maqasid al-Sharia in the fikr of Abdulhamid Abu Sulaiman. And he went and brought a lot of nusus from his books to show what type of Maqasid al-Sharia is Sheikh Abdulhamid Abu Sulaiman talking about. The Maqasid al-Sharia, then comes the model he was talking about, not so of Maqasid Sharia, the 5 values of Hifz al-Nafs wal-Mal wal-Ird, but the bigger, which is talking about the Maqasid al-Quran linked to Maqasid al-Sharia. The Maqasid al-Quran talks about, in the School of Islamization of Knowledge, Taha Jabir and Abdul Hadi talk about Tawheed, Tazkiyah, and Umran, Hadara. That from here comes the idea of Abdulhamid Abu Sulaiman, the need for ulum al-Umran, or what he calls ulum al-Hadara al-Islamiyah, and ulum al-Hadara al-Haditha. So brothers and sisters, Maqasid al-Sharia to be linked, another key in the framework. The other thing, and the last in Abdulhamid Abu Sulaiman thought, is the idea of culture, al-mas'ala al-thaqafiyya. And I think this Malik Nabi talked about it before. And al-mas'ala al-thaqafiyya is very crucial because it is related more to al-irada wal-wijdan and to the style of life and the way of behavior and how we talk, how we do, how we act, what is our efficiency. Brothers and sisters, to end, I just mentioned here that this is the framework I wanted to mention to you, and I hope, inshallah, many students will do some work to deepen these ideas and to implement them. Maybe the last word is the title. Now I'm going to start my lecture. I do the muqaddimah of Ibn Khaldun, now I'm giving you the history. Okay, so no problem. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Okay.